Well, hi, Mita.
Hi.
Welcome to our podcast. We're Hello Studios. We're here at the Earth X Expo 2023 here in Dallas. I'm Andrea. So again, nice to meet you. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Andrea.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do for a living? What brings you here?
Yeah, for a living, I am into leadership development, and I work with organizations, meeting them where they are and helping them work towards their growth. And, we are going through a lot of transitions within various organizations, and so we help the workforce to be ready for those transitions and to be able to be resilient.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of change management.
Management. Yeah.
Awesome. And what brings you here to the expo?
I'm also very passionate about climate action. I run a nonprofit that is focused on sustainable living and promoting it at a grassroots level. And so I'm just trying to learn more about everything's out there and increase awareness within my nonprofit.
That's awesome. So have you been here all 3 days?
No, this is my only day.
Your only day?
Yeah.
And what has been a highlight for you so far? Is there something that maybe you've learned that perked your interest that you probably didn't know about, of how we can help save our environment?
Well, what stands out for me is a lot of hemp-based clothing, which I think is very sustainable and it could help us move the needle. I also learned about construction, hemp in construction, and we can see how we as human beings spend 90% of our time indoors, and construction is such a big part of our life, and it can be such a big pollutant as well. And so having some of those materials that are eco-friendly and yet sustainable would make
a huge difference.
Yeah,
I've been hearing a lot about hemp lately too. It's just I've been just learning about it more lately, so definitely something that I'm interested in learning about as I walk around later on today. So can you tell us a little bit about what started really your curiosity or your interest in climate change and all the things that are going on in our environment? Was there something in particular that made you want to be more involved that led to where you are now?
Yeah, it's having kids.
Okay. Tell me more about that.
And just knowing that, what kind of a world do I want to leave back for them?
Yeah.
And also the 7th generation principle is it's a Native American principle whereby you want to make choices that will impact next 7 generations. And so just the very idea that we have gotten this gift from our ancestors that has allowed us to live a happy and prosperous life, and we want to make sure that we give that opportunity to our future generations as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as all these environmental issues are happening, you start realizing how we've taken for granted what we have and what, like you said, what our ancestors have left us. They have, taking care of the environment. And I don't know if it's in the past, few decades where things have just kind of deteriorated a little bit, and just seeing areas that were, forests go up in flames and things like that just are really sad. So, I love that point that you made about your kids. And is there anything that you practice now at home with your children, whether it's eating habits or recycling? What do you do at home to contribute to those small changes that you make at home that can contribute to the larger picture?
Yeah, so ever since I learned that the fastest way to address climate change is avoiding any animal-based products, I went completely vegan, and my kids, for most part at home, we eat only vegan food.
Okay.
We do composting, and we've realized that we throw out trash not every week, every other week, because much of our trash enters the compost bins. we air dry our clothes.
Okay.
We don't use a dryer because it's in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It's unnecessary.
You don't need it.
What else? We try to keep our house temperature the same as outside temperature. When it's cold out, we just layer up, and when it's hot out, we just use more of our fans and avoid using as much of electricity as possible.
Yeah.
Just to do whatever we can to reduce our carbon footprint.
Yeah, absolutely. When you speak about vegan and like eating clean, a lot of things that I hear is, well, it's not accessible for everybody. Like having a vegan lifestyle is not accessible for, communities that maybe are a little more impoverished than others. So are there any maybe like tips or things that that you have for people that maybe consider it to not be accessible, so that they maybe can shift their mindset? Because when you go to the store, if you go to Whole Foods, it's one thing, but if you go to the farmer's market, you can buy more, locally farmed food, and it's not as expensive, if you will. So I don't know, what are like tips that you have for like people that have that mindset of like, oh, I'm just gonna stick to my current diet because I just can't, switching to being vegan is not attainable for me.
Yeah. So there are various ways in which you can eat produce. Now you can choose to buy them from stores like farmers market or any other bulk stores as well. Mm-hmm. There are ways in which you can freeze your food. So you can buy it for cheap in bulk and freeze it for it to last longer.
Yeah.
Even frozen produce has at times even higher nutritional quality than what you buy in store, because I'm a nutritionist.
Okay.
So,
cool.
A lot of the produce is harvested at its peak.
Okay.
For it to be frozen. And so you want to it does retain the nutritional quality. Usually when you buy it from a shelf at a grocery store, it's often 14 days or longer on the shelf. And the loss of nutrients over that period of time since harvest to be the time we pick it is significant. So you can make those healthy choices by buying frozen or in bulk. Another way to eat plant-based that is really, really cheap is eating more beans.
Okay, yeah.
There's always this question about where do you get your proteins from? And it's the beans and the legumes that, your whole family can eat on $1 or $2 being filled and yet feeling energized. It's really powerful. And so I feel like legumes and beans are superfoods that we all need to consume more of.
Yeah, I agree. I recently started consuming beans more. I was never a bean person, but I was like, it's good. They're delicious. And you can mix them up with like, some other veggies and they taste great. Yes, you can they're versatile.
They
if you will.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I know you mentioned a little bit about your nonprofit. So I want to focus a little bit on that before we wrap up here. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it is that you do in your nonprofit and how has it impacted other organizations?
Yeah, so my nonprofit is a plant pure pod. Dr. Campbell, who is also, Forks Over Knives is one of the famous documentaries on plant-based eating. And this is a part of that movement where at grassroots level, people trying to eat more plant-based have the community support to do that. And that's what we do mostly. I had the support when I went plant-based to just figure out my ways around what do I eat, where do I buy that, how to make things work kind of thing. And so I'm hoping to offer that support to people. We are in Frisco.
Okay.
Called Green and Fit Frisco.
Okay.
It's mainly a Facebook group, and we meet every month where people come together. The potlucks that we do some yoga exercises, walking around, just being healthy at the same time, doing our part towards the nature. So that's what we do.
Absolutely. So you kind of answer my next question about where can we find you? And there's a Facebook group. What's the name of the Facebook group?
Green and Fit Frisco.
Green and Fit Frisco. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything that you want to leave, a message that you want to leave for our listeners as far as what they can do to help our environment a little bit more?
Yeah. Well, going plant-based.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be one
That's a
of
good
the
step.
best starts that's in our control. And for organizations, there's a lot of opportunity right now. There's so much investment in ESG initiatives across organizations. There's so much of focus on equality as well. Now, I feel like equality is important because it's a basic need of all of us. And if we can address that, we can make each other feel safe. We are likely to pass that on to the environment too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like environment in itself is an individual with its own individual rights. And for us to be able to honor that, we need to feel safe and to be able to give more to the environment. So,
yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. And it's almost like that oxygen mask theory. Like we have to take care of ourselves in order to be able to take care of others. Same goes with the environment. We have to take care of ourselves, feel more connected, making sure that we are being equitable and equal. And in return, we will obviously take care of our environment a little bit more as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you're looking forward to today as you walk around and explore the expo today?
I have not been to the commercial building yet. So, commercial? What's the other building?
Oh, you lost me there.
Okay, I'm not sure.
There's so many buildings here.
Yeah, there's one more building where the Tex Park is extended, and I haven't been there yet. So I'm hoping to get there and explore it.
Well, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was lovely talking to you and chatting with you. And we hope to hear more from you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrea.
Of course. Thank you, Mita. All right. Bye-bye.